Have you noticed that in recent years, many people around you and online are saying, my job is utterly meaningless, hard work doesn't take you anywhere, I'm just a slave under capitalism, I don't want to get married or have any children. I'm Chinese myself. I was chatting with my American friend last week and she said it's the same in the US, many people feel that way. Well, you would think America as the world's most developed country shouldn't be like this, right? So, what exactly is causing this phenomenon? I'm a person who believes strongly in the results of scientific experiments, so today I'm going to show you a cruel experiment that took place in 1957. Perhaps this experiment can explain the underlying reasons behind this phenomenon. In 1957, American psychobiologist Kurt Richter conducted a drowning experiment with rats at Johns Hopkins laboratory to test how long they could endure when they're in a predicament. He divided the subjects into two groups, 12 domesticated rats and 34 wild rats. Then he placed these rats into water jars. In the experiment with the 12 domesticated rats, 3 of them began exploring the water jar upon being placed inside. Once they quickly realized there was no possibility of survival, they gave up struggling and drowned within 2 minutes. The remaining 9 domesticated rats struggled for an average of 15 minutes before also drowning. In another experiment, Richter did the same with the 34 wild rats he had captured. These wild rats were stronger, larger, more aggressive, and more adapted to harsh environments. Theoretically, they should have had a stronger survival instinct than their tame domesticated counterparts, right? Yet, the results surprised everyone. Since most of these wild rats had never had contact with humans, several of them, due to extreme fear, even died of cardiac arrest within seconds of being touched by the experimenter's hand. Dr. Richter observed that when the remaining wild rats were placed in the water-filled jars, none showed a fight-or-flight physiological response. They all drowned within 1 to 15 minutes. Strangely, these wild rats didn't even seem to care about their lives. They didn't struggle or thrash violently. It was as if they had accepted their fate, sinking silently without much panic. In the next experiment, Richter decided to introduce a variable. He gathered another group of rats, larger in number than before, and placed them into the water jars again. This time, just as the rats were about to drown, Dr. Richter rescued them. He dried them with a towel and allowed all the domesticated and the wild rats to rest fully. Just minutes after the rats had recovered their strength, Richter placed them back into the water jars. Well, guess how long the rats swam on an average after being placed back into the water? 50 minutes? 10 minutes? Or 5 minutes? What actually happened may be beyond your imagination. These rats swam continuously for 60 to 80 hours. That's 2.5 to 3 days. Faced with the same predicament, they chose to fight fiercely. Why did the same rats exhibit completely different reactions after being rescued and encountering the same situation again? The reason is hope. In the first experiment, the domesticated rats had been raised by human hands and were also placed into the predicament by human hands. They struggled because they sensed that humans might intervene in their lives. But the wild rats had no such concept. In their understanding of the world, no external help was possible. They had never encountered water-filled glass containers nor witnessed human intervention. They had always relied only on themselves. When faced with an inescapable situation, they didn't struggle much and accepted their fate. These rats did not expect to be saved. They didn't even have such a concept in their minds. In the second experiment, once Dr. Richter demonstrated to all the rats, both domesticated and wild, that rescue was possible, their will to survive became extremely and equally strong. Their situation was still dangerous though, but it was not hopeless. Even in the tiny brains of rodents, just a glimmer of hope to survive was enough to motivate them to persevere. Richter's experiment was published in his 1957 paper on the phenomena of sudden death in animals and humans. In his conclusion, he wrote, "A phenomenon of sudden death has been described that occurs in man, rats, and many other animals, apparently as a result of hopelessness. This seems to involve overcapacity primarily of the parasympathetic system." This experiment serves as a metaphor for all modern societies. The reason ordinary people in today's world have given up striving is because the concept of hope has been completely stripped from their minds. Pervasive fear, constant anxiety, stress, and a sense of powerlessness about the future are the biggest factors destroying people's lives. In my own life and among my friends, we've seen many people born in the 80s and even in the 90s whose lives had already perished. even though they were still so young. At the end, I have one question. What exactly has caused the concept of hope to be completely destroyed in the minds of ordinary people?